the author of 8 to Great, the Powerful Process for Positive Change, as well as 8 to Great, the curriculum for middle school, high school, and college students. The key word in my title is process. When I was in a really rough time in my life, I just had to find a way out. I had to find a way to turn around. So I started to write steps. I started to study people who were the happiest, healthiest, and most successful people on the planet. Pretty soon the patterns started to emerge. This is what they do differently from the rest of us. So we're here doing part 2 on Highway 1. That's our first step, called Get the Picture. Get the picture is when you move from thinking something to really feeling it. I remember Chelsea. I'm going to make up her name because I don't want to embarrass her. Chelsea was at a school in Oklahoma, and she came up to me and she said, I want to go to MIT, but, and I said, what's the but? You going to MIT or not, Chelsea? And she goes, well, I don't believe I am yet. Ooh, a belief, we define in 8 to Great, is a thought you keep thinking until you feel it. So when Chelsea started thinking about MIT, she didn't know anybody at MIT, her parents didn't have the money to send her to MIT, she didn't feel very good, and that's how we know she hadn't gone from her head to her heart. She was still just up there in her head, and our head, as we know, can worry and make a lot of fuss about nothing. Well, at any rate, I had her get the picture. She downloaded pictures of MIT. Students sitting on the lawn, students in the classroom, students going to dances, students walking across the stage to accept their graduation certificates. So all these wonderful photos from the internet, and then of course her picture right in the middle. Where is Chelsea today? She's a senior at MIT. Why? She went from thinking about MIT to feeling it. Of course, there are 7 other steps in our process, and she worked those as well. But that was the first one for Chelsea. We couldn't get her anywhere until she got to that place where she believed it was possible. I started talking about Jim Carrey in our last video on this topic, on Get the Picture, and I didn't tell the end of the story. Jim Carrey, when he had very little money in his pocket, sat in front of a beautiful mansion in Beverly Hills and said, I'm not getting up until I believe I live here. Which was a stretch for this guy who's like living out of his car, right? But he imagined that he and his wife were sleeping in that bedroom, and he and the kids he hadn't had yet were living in that home, and that they were going to have a barbecue with the next door neighbors, and that in that huge garage there was a motorcycle, a boat, and a Lamborghini. You know, it's all just stuff of the imagination. And so what he did was stayed there until he got to that feeling place, when he really started to get excited about the fact that he would be living in Beverly Hills someday, which of course he is now. He got up, again, remember, just a few dollars in his pocket, and wrote himself a fake check for $10 million. He signed it for services rendered, and he dated it 1995. The actual year was 1991. Well, what happened in 1995? He was paid $10 million for a film. I think he was the first actor in Hollywood to have a check of that size. Wow. This stuff doesn't just work for movie stars, it works for you and I. So one of my favorite stories is about my son who wanted to make swing choir. He came in as a sophomore in high school and he goes, Mom, I'm really nervous about auditions tomorrow. And I said, well, honey, do you want to go over your song again? Because I play piano. He said, no, let's work the process. So I said, okay, Highway 1. Head outside, come back in. So he knew exactly what to do. He came back in and acted as though it had already happened. He thought it until he felt it. And he walks in and goes, Mom, I made it. I did great. Mom, I remembered all the lyrics. I remembered all the dance steps. I used eye contact. I sang really loud. Mom, I did so good. The rest of the students stood up and applauded for me when I was done. Wow. Great imagination. Of course, I high-fived him and went right along with it. We played like that for, 3-4 minutes is all. You know what happened the next day. He made swing choir as a sophomore, but also he actually had the other students standing for him at the end of his audition. It was amazing. So there's the process for you. How often can you use Get the Picture? Before you take a test, before you ask a girl out, before you ask for a promotion, before you anything. Take the kids to the grocery store. You imagine it happening and how good this is going to feel. We actually have lots of gratitude and dream journals that are going to be coming out over the next year to help you ask yourself the questions, to imagine it's already happened. Remember, you hold the key to unlock any door. You hold the key you've been waiting for. 8 to Great. Thanks for listening.